Guys, so today's video is an interesting one. It's going to be very, very long. I can already foresee that. So get comfortable, get a cup of tea, whatever, sit. This is a really hard video for me to film, so I'm going to warn you, I'm probably going to end up crying, but that's what editing's for. But basically, this video is about moving on from relationships, friendships, family things, whatever. I wanted to make this like an advice video, but when I was kind of playing it through my head and thinking out loud with what I wanted to say, I realized that it's not advice video, it's my experience, and if you can take something away from that, fantastic. If not, then, well, at least you get to know a little bit more about me. But the one piece of advice I will share, and I'm going to get this out right now, really early, don't ever, ever tell somebody to move on and get over it and whatnot. Even if you say it in the nicest way with the greatest sense of intention behind it, don't do it. See what the person needs from you. If they just need your shoulder to cry on, they need an ear to listen, do all that. But please, don't tell somebody to move on. It's like a slap in the face, okay? It doesn't matter how well-intentioned it is, it's a slap in the face. And if anything, it's gonna make the person feel even worse off than they did before they told you or before the situation happened. So that's my only piece of advice through all of this. So if that's the only thing you take away, fantastic. But yes, so the last 6 months for me have been quite troubling, I guess, in the land of love and boys, basically. This focus of video is definitely going to be on more relationships, but it still holds for friendships that tank and all that jazz. Okay, so yeah, last 6 months have been basically kind of like hell on earth for me, because I've had a similar situation happen 4 times, with 4 different people. And despite knowing if it was coming or not, mostly not coming, didn't know it was coming, it's still hard, no matter what. So 6 months ago when I came back from England, I had reconnected with my ex in hopes of seeing that distance had helped while I was away and to help mend some of our wounds. And on Christmas Eve, I was told that wasn't going to happen. And I believe the line was something to the effect of, I love you, but I'm not in love with you, we can't be together anymore. Or we're not getting back together. Something like that. And even though while I was away, I'd come to the realization I was single for the first time in over 4.5 years, I kind of, it just hit me one day walking home from work. I was like, I'm definitely single. This isn't going to work. Especially when you're kind of told that you're not missed and that you don't cross someone's mind. You're kind of like, it really hits you and you're like, all right, like it's time to move on. So I tried. I thought I was starting to move on. When I came back, I was like, well, you know what, I could give this another shot. I just kind of told myself, like, we can start from scratch, like, hi, I'm Sydney, let's see how this goes, but it wasn't meant to be, so I was like, alright, you can't force your presence on somebody, and if anything, that probably makes stuff worse. So, a couple of my friends, who, don't get me wrong, had the greatest intentions when they said this, but this is another phrase, like move on, that drives me bonkers. And the phrase is something to the effect of, you need to learn to be alone. And to appreciate being alone and to not fall dependent on somebody. Makes sense, understandable, totally see where they're coming from, totally understand why the comment's made, but that's hard. Like, okay, my greatest fear in life, and I don't care if some of you guys think this is ridiculous, my biggest fear in life is being alone. I don't like being alone. I don't mean like, okay, I'm home alone right now, I'm terrified. No, I mean relationship-wise, whether it be with family, friends, or relationship. more so relationship, I am terrified to be alone. So, that stems back from my family issues when I was younger. And basically, I'm a people pleaser. But I'm a people pleaser partially by nature, because I like people and I get along with basically everybody. Unless you slight me or you slight a friend of mine, then we're usually on pretty good terms. But there's certain people that I just bond with. And that's really dangerous for me. I can't choose it. It's not something I decide to flick the switch on and go, I'm gonna bond to this person, I'm gonna bond to this person, I'm not gonna bond to this person. If I had a choice, I wouldn't be hurt so much, basically. But I'm a people pleaser. Kind of stems back, like I said, from family things. So when I bond with somebody, or when I get someone in my life, friend, boyfriend, whatever, I tend to do whatever I feel is necessary to keep that person in my life. When I was in high school, I had a best friend for a number of years, through elementary school and high school, and we never really had like a falling out. I was basically kind of replaced, which was worse than my first breakup, to be quite frank. Losing your best friend over something really stupid of like not being able to make the effort to hang out anymore and kind of be like, oh, well, I'm hanging out with these guys and you kind of don't fit into this anymore. So yeah, that was tough. That was probably worse than my first breakup, and probably even the breakup after that, which happened shortly after. So I'll go through great lengths to try and keep some of my life. If there's a problem, because I'm a chronic overthinker, I'm sure I've said this before, I will find a way to blame myself for issues that go on, or if like I think something's wrong, I'm like, oh my god, what did I do? How can I fix it? And really, I shouldn't think that way, but again, if I could turn it off, I totally would, but I can't. So bonding with somebody, for me, it can happen in an instant. It doesn't, like, you don't have to be in my life for years for it to happen. Obviously, usually it happens really quickly, and then I try to keep you in my life for years. But it's a two-way street. And just remember that. With any friendship, any relationship, it's a two-way street. If you're doing all the work, it's not worth it. If they're not helping you, or they're not doing the same, reciprocating, it might be hard, but it's time to cut them out. It's not going to do any justice to stretch yourself to try and bend over backwards and accommodate somebody who really doesn't give a damn. But with bonding, I click with somebody and everything kind of just stops. Like, as much as I say I'm an independent person, don't get me wrong, but like right now in my life, I don't do much. I wake up in the morning, I have my tea, I might film a video, edit, whatever. But depending on who is in my life at the moment, friend-wise, boyfriend-wise, dictates what I do with my life in that present moment. And I know that sounds very dependent, but it's not. It's kind of hard to explain. Hopefully somebody understands what I mean. But basically, like, if somebody's in my life and obviously like they have a car and they like to do a certain activity, I'll start going to that activity or play that activity or do something that relates to what they like. Not necessarily to please them, but because it's something I'm going to enjoy. I'm not going to sit through something that I'm not going to enjoy, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to torture myself. But their plans dictate what I do, because really I don't do anything. Let's be honest, I live a very boring life. So when things change and someone says, oh, move on, you're kind of like, I can't. Like, part of you is left with that person, part of that person is left with you, and being told to just cut that off is like cutting your arm off. Oh, your hand hurts? Cut it off. No. No, it's like to cut your nose off to spite your face. It's stupid. You can't do it. So anyways, back to my timeline. Early in the new year, I reconnected with a really good friend of mine, and we have a bit of a history in the fact that we are one of those sets of friends that should have dated back in high school, but we just never got the chance. And up until this year, basically, we had never been single at the same time. So we never had the chance to ever be something. So we'd reconnected, and we've known each other for almost 10 years. So we've got a lot of history, like a lot of friendship, and all that stuff. And so we connected, and things went, I'd say, pretty quickly, but in the sense of like we enjoyed each other's company, so we could always be around each other. I would get daily phone calls when he'd be coming home from work, and we could talk about literally random stuff. It'll be anything and everything, and none of it was forced. And I think that's the greatest thing with conversation with people, or just a connection with somebody, when you can talk about anything, anytime, anywhere, or not have to talk, and can sit in silence and not feel strained, like you have to say something, or you have to fill the silence with ramblings. No, if you can feel comfortable with someone in silence, it's probably one of the most amazing feelings ever. Anyways, so we were picking things up, we left off, and basically it came to the point in a very short amount of time that our feelings for each other had come to the utter realization of how far they really were. And I could tell that that was frightening. Scary for me, scary for him, because really, in the 6 months that I was single from my ex and being in England, like I said, I didn't mentally feel or emotionally feel fully single. I was still holding on to the fact that maybe we could try again, maybe we could make things work. I was very optimistic in that. I'm probably overly optimistic in these kind of situations, or I give somebody too much credit. But again, that just shoots me in the foot. Life moves on. So it scared both of us, him more so than me, and I realized very quickly that he wasn't ready. And so I said, fine, like, I'll wait. I've waited 9 years. What's a few more months? Let's see how things go. And I was told not to, but I was like, really, like, I'm not going out of my way right now to find somebody. I like things to be organic and just see how they happen. But again, because of my lifestyle right now, I don't go to the clubs, I don't go to the bars, I don't really go out, so I had no place to meet anybody. But I go on, life goes on. Now, another really good friend of mine who's been there for me through a lot, who lives quite a distance away, I was able to go see, and I spent a lot of time with him. And again, it's a bond there that I didn't choose. If I chose it, then that's my problem, but I didn't choose this. We connected while I was away, and I'm a planner, okay? I'm a very big planner. I plan everything. I got to-do lists of to-do lists of to-do lists. So I'm not a super spontaneous person anymore, at least not in like the long run things. Like, I don't make sporadic decisions. But while I was away, I literally decided, oh wait, you know what? I'm gonna move countries again. I could work. I'm like, I had it all planned out. It wasn't just for a boy, because I know that was the biggest scandal of life. I had people freaking out all over the place going, this isn't like you, this isn't something you do, don't do it. Again, I hate when people tell me not to do something. Not in like the spiteful way, but in the like, you can't do this, just watch me. That's my mentality, just watch me. So after a little while of me being away, something was brought up to me from somebody else, a third party, a neutral third party, or a mutual third party, I should say, who was like, I can tell where you're at, and I know where he's at, and you guys are on two different playing fields. And so I was kind of like, well, according to all of our conversations, like our text conversations before I came, and da-da-da-da-da, I'm like, that doesn't quite make sense. But again, out of politeness on his part and me not wanting to completely destroy my holiday, we waited to talk about it. And so, yeah, so basically, I'm not sure if you guys have heard this phrase, but there's a phrase, drunken words are sober thoughts. basically, you take a drunk person's word for it because they're more honest when they're intoxicated than when they're sober. And so I realized that I guess many of our conversations were more under that line than like a face-to-face normal middle of the afternoon conversation. So I didn't make stuff up. Like there's some people who like make something out of nothing. This wasn't the case. There was lots of evidence to indicate that I wasn't crazy and that I wasn't imagining things. So our neutral party intervened and were like, I don't think this is a good idea. They're like, you're way more ahead. This isn't gonna work, da 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 da. And again, I was kind of told, like, just move on. Don't, like, dwell on this and carry on. And again, I was like, please don't tell me what to do. So, finally met with my buddy, and we had this conversation basically the night before I left for my flight. And I said, what would you think about me moving down here? Because really, at this point in my life, like, I moved halfway across the world with nobody and a job. I'm like, I can come down here, I have family, I can have a job way faster than I can up here. I'm like, so really, I'm like, there's lots of good things. And he said basically, he's like, if you move for work, you move to be with family, he's like, that's great. He's like, but don't move for me. And I was like, well, really, you're the motivating factor here. I'm like, because I got family and work back home, don't have you back home. So basically I was told, move on. Another, I hate to use this phrase, but it's a commitment phobe. Someone else who just couldn't commit right now because of past relationships. Or past relationship in that case. So again, I was like, alright, what the hell did I do in this world to get all this shitty karma? Pardon my language, but really, like, this bad karma just kind of smoked me in the face. So when I came back home, I was swept off my feet for fashion shows and stuff like that, so I got really, really busy. And then a friend of mine, who I spent a lot of that week with, because it was because of her I was there, reminded me of the glorious app, Tinder! And I was like, oh dear lord, I don't want to do this. And she's like, just try it, la 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 la. Fine. So I would spend my evenings lying in bed, scrolling through and going, yes, no, yes, no. And I'm just gonna throw this out there. If you've got this far and you're on Tinder, please write a damn bio. Please. And have more than one photo. And don't have group photos, because that's annoying. Trying to figure out the common face in all these group photos. Don't do it. Just fill out your bio. Because if you didn't have a bio and you had one crappy photo or a group photo, I said no. That's side note. Proper Tinder etiquette. Anyways, so was talking to a few people, whatever, met one, whatever, met another one, met said other one, and, yeah, basically spent in the first couple weeks of knowing him almost every single day together. Not even through my design. We would hang out, and then I would hear, what are you doing tomorrow? Or are you free tomorrow? Do I do something tomorrow? And I was like, sure. Like I said, I had nothing else to do. So I was like, yeah. So things moved really, really quickly. And it was basically a whirlwind romance. It was a month and a few days, and unfortunately it had to come to an end. And again, in this instant, I had no choice about the bonding. It didn't happen, but I didn't just bond with him. I bonded with a sibling. And that's been a blessing and a curse. A blessing because I love family. Family means so much to me. And going from a relationship where I just had the boyfriend, and then maybe like the sibling, one of the siblings down the road, but no parents, and the fact that I was not accepted, and then going to getting a boyfriend whose whole family, or everyone that I had met, really liked me, was a fantastic feeling. If you've never been in that situation, you don't appreciate how like great it feels to be accepted by someone else's family. So bonded with him really well, met lots of friends, got along great with all of them, so everything was just incredibly smooth sailing, awesome time doing just about anything or nothing, comfortable silences, and then all of a sudden, after spending a significant amount of time at their house, everything just kind of stopped. And again, I was told the same phrase I've been told 4 times in 6 months of, I can't do this right now. But in this case, I'd obviously known him for a much shorter time than any of the other guy friends. Like I said, was in a relationship with one 4.5 years, known one for almost 10 years, and the other one I've known for just over a year or so. But again, even with friendships, you don't have to be in someone's life for a long time to mean a lot to them. A lot of people that I tell that to don't quite make heads or tails of it, but really, if you bond with somebody, they can mean more to you in a week than someone you've known for 7 years. So someone for 7 years doesn't contribute much to your life, and they're there to be there. But somebody who actively contributes a lot in a short amount of time is more impressive to me than someone who, I guess, spaces things out over time. But this one was really hard, and this is where I got the most comments of people telling me, oh, just move on. Because in everyone else's mind, they're like, well, you haven't known him that long, so move on. Cut it and go. And this is where the curse comes in with the fact that I bonded with a sibling, because we can't just end that friendship. Like, it would just be awkward and uncomfortable to do so. And we really do hit it off fantastic. And the family noticed, and the family's like, well, I'm glad that this didn't work out, but this did. And yeah, like, it's been, I'm not sure when this video is going to go up, but it's been in the last 2 weeks that things flipped and took a complete, like, 180 turn. So it's still really, really hard, and I have anxiety. I don't know if I ever really mentioned that. I'm not medicated for it. I just have to deal with my stress in my own way. But in this instance, my anxiety took over. And it was really hard when people kept telling me, I'll just move on, with my anxiety going, haha, you're funny. Like, no. And I shut down. And I know I've mentioned in, I think it was probably like my 50 random facts about me video, that I've gone through depression. Again, nothing clinically diagnosed and all that jazz, but I've been to some dark places, and right after this, with my anxiety going haywire, I could feel myself dropping, and I was dropping fast. And people didn't get it. And it's not something I advertise. But your body just shuts down. There's nothing you can do about it. So the first couple days, I had a really hard time functioning. And part of me is embarrassed for that, and then part of me is like, I had nothing to be embarrassed about. Like, just how it is. Life goes on. I understand that. I tell myself that. But when almost everything that you've been doing recently is with somebody, and all of a sudden it all stops, and you're back to sitting in your room, just twiddling your thumbs when you wake up in the morning, that's hard. When you bond with somebody, you can't just cut that out. It doesn't just stop. Again, it's not a light switch. You don't go on, off, like bonded, not bonded, in my life, out of my life. And because I'm so close with said sibling, I'm still gonna see him. I did see him. I saw him the other day, and he was really his normal self, but his normal self in this instance came off in a strange way. And I don't know if, because again, I'm a chronic overthinker, I don't know if I was overthinking things, and therefore in my head making something that isn't awkward, or what. But we said we'd be friends, but because of how we came together and all that stuff, I don't know how that's going to happen. I'm really optimistic, But another thing that I know is that this family is moving soon. They're not moving down the street. They are moving about 5 hours away, where their actual house is, because they're not living at home at the moment. And that's another factor. I knew about that. He didn't know I knew. So I never really got to bring it up and say, look, I can cope with distance. If that's a real issue, let me know. But this was probably the hardest one to move on from, other than my ex, because when everything goes so right all the time, and you didn't have to try for any of it, it just happened, it just fell into your lap. It's the way everyone thinks love's supposed to be, where you're not chasing someone, hounding someone, forcing them to do things, but everything is just organic, totally natural, free-flowing. It's just fantastic. It's an amazing feeling. And as much as I'm totally bummed out, I'm better now. It took me a few days, but I'm almost back to 100% Sydney. I had an amazing month and a bit. Like, as much as things ended and it's not going to continue on like that, like, we had some great summer plans that obviously aren't going to happen now, or if they do, it won't quite be the same, but I don't regret it. I think what's meant to be will always find a way. Another song phrase that comes to mind is the sun can't shine every day. But yes, life goes on. It does. It can be hard, but it does. But it's different when you tell yourself that you have to move on, and you have to draw the line between being optimistic and trying to make something happen, and realizing defeat and realizing when it is time. But only you can decide that. Only you know when it's time to quit and to stop trying, and when it's just wasted effort. Nobody else can tell you that. Somebody can see the entire thing happening over years, days, hours, whatever the case may be, and they still can't tell you to move on. Even if you say, I know I need to move on, and they go, yeah, just move on. No, you can't say it. You can't. It's just not your place to say it. It has to come from within. It has to come from the person going through the issue. All you need to do is sit there, shut up and smile, hold us when we need to cry, be the ear to listen to the stories. If we ask for your 2 cents, yo, give your 2 cents. Don't get me wrong. You don't have to be like completely silent about things, but you just can't tell somebody when it's time to move on. It's something we have to realize for ourselves. Yeah, I really don't know if I have anything else to say to that, but that's basically my story recently, and this is really hard to film. I'm actually surprised I didn't cry. There was a little teary at one point. I could feel it. But I think I needed to say this. I needed to share this. And some of you guys might know exactly what's going on in this video. So my friends, some of you will be completely clueless. But it doesn't really matter. You don't need names. You don't need to know everything to appreciate the fact that moving on is hard. And we all do it in different ways. And I'm sick of hiding how I feel about things and tiptoeing around other people or walking on eggshells with my own feelings because I'm scared to make somebody else uncomfortable. I know that I'm a very emotional, sensitive person. That's how I am, again, due to what has gone on in my life growing up. And I know it makes people uncomfortable. I know it makes guys uncomfortable. Like, even when you're not an emotional person and you cry for something, guys get a little weirded out. I got guy friends who will walk away and be like, let me know when you're done and I'll come back. And I think we need to work on that as a freaking society, to not judge somebody by their emotions or to think they're crazy for crying over this, that, or the other. It's cathartic to cry. there are times where I'm just, nothing's really, really wrong, but things are kind of, you have a bit of an off day, whatever. You come home and you cry, you feel better. But I hate that if I'm having an off moment or something's bothering me and someone's like, oh, what's up? And you're just like, nothing. And I'm forced to say nothing because if I say the truth or I get emotional over what it is, I'm scared I'm going to freak somebody out. And that's the worst feeling, especially when you're in a relationship. Like, value the person's emotions. Let them be what they are. Like, no, not everyone's emotional. A lot of guys are emotionless for the most part. But you can't freak out when a girl cries. Just let it happen. Be there to comfort her. And this goes for all relationships. There's going to be one person who's more emotional. Accept it. And let it breathe. Because honestly, like, I bottle things up. I'm much better now than I was, but I used to bottle things up and I would just snap one day and it would all come out because of the fact that I was scared to share that with people. I have no problem admitting I will cry at a sad commercial. And that's ridiculous, but hey, that's what it is. But like big things, when you're having a bad day, if someone comes to you for help or just wants you to listen, don't run away because it just makes us feel worse. And we're stuck to ourselves. And believe me, we have enough conversations with ourselves about how to cope with things that sometimes we just need an outside opinion, or we just need someone else to listen, or someone else to give us a hug. Yeah. So that's basically my ramblings on moving on and relationships. I don't even know if I really talked about moving on between my relationships or just shared that stuff, but it's hard. It's devastating. My heart is still kind of in a bunch of pieces, and it's going to be a while again before I'm all of me again. And that's a frightening fact too. But it's kind of, it is what it is. I'm going to be optimistic about things for a while, and then I'm going to remind myself that it's probably not going to happen, and then I will move on. But for now, like I said, I'm going to stay optimistic about just things in general, not just this specific situation, but God's always got a plan, even if it doesn't make sense to us, even if we find it torturous, which right now it's feeling pretty crap. But I don't know, sometimes things are just out of your hands. Everything happens for a reason. You gotta appreciate what you have when you have it. And yeah, that's basically it. So I hope you guys didn't, well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and whatever it is that you can take away from it. And maybe you took nothing from it in the fact that you're not in the same kind of position I've been, but maybe you're in the position of the person who gets reached out to, and maybe you can take away a few little tidbits of next time when a friend or your partner comes to you, you can approach things differently and see how that goes. But yeah. I would love to do more videos like this. I always say that. I have a list of advice videos that I want to film, but sometimes I just need to be in a really emotional place to film them, and they're not something that I can just sit down and bang out, and I don't really want to sit down and bang them out just for the sake of doing that. But if there's a topic you have that you'd like to hear someone's perspective on, or advice or thoughts, then totally leave them down below, and I will see you guys in a future video. See ya!